as we get ready for this fantastic 1 o'clock, I just wanted to give a few housekeeping notes. If you're tracking with your agenda, you see next at 2 o'clock, you have 3 different options. So at 2 o'clock, we have a panel here, but then our breakout sessions begin as well, and those breakout sessions are downstairs. So just be aware of that. At 2 o'clock, you'll have some options and can move from this room if you want. And then also, no matter what you're doing as you're moving, you know that we have lunch being served buffet style downstairs. So don't hesitate to get in the line, get yourself some food, and take it wherever, into the breakout session, bring it back in here.
You need to repeat this. I think everybody needs to listen to what you're saying.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. I was just giving some quick housekeeping notes. We've been on a singular track thus far, all in here. After this fantastic fireside chat, at 2 o'clock, you look at your agendas, you have 3 options. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. One will be a panel discussion here, but then the other 2 options are our breakout sessions downstairs. So pay attention to that, know where you're going to go. The only other thing I would say is half of you probably haven't eaten yet today. And we do have food being served by one of our great IWC members. So you can get your food and take it wherever you need to. In the next breakout session, bring it back here or whatever. All right? Oh, and while I'm at it, this is going to be a fireside chat, and we don't have a fireplace. But when you want to relive all of this fantastic advice you're going to get from these 2 women, make sure to buy our coffee. It's fantastic. It benefits IWC, and it's from Dark Matter. And when you read what the beans are made out of, you're going to hear yourself in the description. All right? Thank you. Oh, now, while I'm at it, Natsuko is going to give some fantastic and important opening remarks for this session.
All right, so good afternoon and welcome. My name is Natsuko Mazany. I am a member of IWC on the Marketing and Communications Committee. I'm also the Assistant Brand Manager of Rhythm at Green Thumb Industries. Yeah. All right, well, what better way to celebrate Women's History Month than to honor our accomplishments, learn from some of our industry leaders, and build professional relationships so we can continue helping one another make history in this green industry. When beginning my cannabis career in 2020, the pandemic had limited my ability to meet coworkers and professionals. Feeling isolated, I found IWC and joined right away. The most transformative experience I had with this organization was with the inaugural IWC Mentor Program. I was looking to make a shift from sales into marketing, but wasn't sure how to make that dream come true. Then I met my mentor, Leise Rosman. Through this mentorship program, I received uninterrupted one-on-one time with my mentor, who has a long history of helping marginalized women enter the cannabis space. Her coaching sessions better equipped me to make those next moves and resulted in my promotion to my current position. Thanks. It's women like our founding female leaders in cannabis who are serving, supporting, and advancing women within the thriving cannabis industry. All 3 women on this stage have experience being trailblazers in our space, all while helping women advance their careers and ideas in the cannabis sector. As Amor mentioned earlier today, applications for the next mentor-mentee cohort are now being accepted. If you're interested in leveling up your cannabis career or supporting someone while they're finding their way within this space, please consider applying. So, without further ado, I am honored to introduce today's mentor, Cindy Kosydor, and our panelists, Leah Heise and Leise Rosman.
All right. Thank you, Natsuko. And she's a fantastic example of what IWC is achieving. So we're very proud of her and going to be proud to watch her career. As she said, my name is Cindy Kosydor, and you've seen me popping up here trying to do some housekeeping off and on. Now I get to moderate a conversation with 2 admirable women. I know that some of you have probably already availed yourself of their expertise and insight and straight shooting talk before. If not, you're going to get it today. So to begin, let's just have these two women introduce themselves. So if you would tell us, because obviously they have some equity in their names and in their careers. They haven't just come to the party lately. They've been around. So tell us what you brought to cannabis and what your experiences were along your cannabis path that then informed you, gave you some insight to develop the existing companies you have, and then obviously the missions behind those companies.
Can do. You want me to go first? Okay. Oh, it's on. All right. So good afternoon. And oh boy, it's the hardest thing to be the speaker after lunch, guys. This is, woo! So stay with me. If you nod off, I'll like do some sort of noise, wake you up. It's all good. Or take a nap, whatever, it's your life. So my name's Leise Rosman, and I have been in, I would like to say, impact work for 20 years. I've been doing that in the cannabis industry full-time for probably 7. And really my background was in nonprofit advocacy, policy, and social justice. And when I left college, I actually went to grad school at North Park University on the north side of town with the idea that I would start businesses for nonprofits. That was going to be my thing I did. And so like if the children's choir had a Ben & Jerry's store, I was going to figure out how to run it and give all the money to the kids, and it was going to be great. And instead, what I ended up doing was doing policy consulting for like 7 years, and did that in Chicago and in Illinois and all over the country, focused on issues around economic development and workforce development for underrepresented individuals. So I went to different leaders and really talked about how to engage folks that had been marginalized in developing economies and different markets in new states. So I was well-versed in policy, well-versed in how to meld policy with social impact, and also super burnt out because it was taking forever to do what we thought we needed to do. So getting people reemployed, expanding access to returning citizens, you name it, it was 10 years of just the same slog every day. And if I were in it today, I would still be doing that slog. And so, I think I had a good temperament for that a little bit because I was patient and I could kind of see where we were going, but very frustrated with just the pace of how things moved. So decided I wanted to leave that organization. I was with a national consulting firm as their VP of Business Development and was sort of sick of selling the dream. And called my younger sister, Allie, who's in the back corner, probably watching Bravo right now, instead of listening. Okay. So Allie had been in the industry long before I had, and had really come into the industry with the idea of working with underrepresented entrepreneurs and looking at criminal justice reform in the drug policy arena at Roosevelt and in other places. Had gone to California with a dream of being in cannabis, and it was going to be a whole thing. I told her she was an idiot. And then she called me one day and said, I'm working with these people, and it's a nonprofit, and the people at the place can't figure out how to do a financial statement for a nonprofit dispensary. And I said, what is it? And she's like, it's a nonprofit, but like there's no owners and we can't figure out how to like do a financial statement because no one at a bank has ever done one for a nonprofit. And I was like, well, that's super weird, but okay, let's try. And I knew how to do it. I had an MBA and a nonprofit administration degree and had done all that stuff and finance. So I started dinking around in cannabis for a minute, and really with the idea that this was a social justice issue, that there were people in California through Mutual Benefit Corps and in Arizona and in Massachusetts and all of those places where people with cancer were dying without access to cannabis, and people with MS were experiencing symptoms without cannabis, and that when we got that to them, it changed lives. And so I thought, well, geez, I'm trying to get people jobs, and that's cool, but I sure would like to help people that are sick, and I'll just do that. So a couple years passed of me doing that part-time, and finally I called and said, I'm seriously going to bail, and Allie said, why don't you come work at a company called Forefront that had bought her company in California? And I said, why would I want to come and hang out with a bunch of drug dealers all day? Sounds like total bullshit. And so she said, why don't you call our boss, my boss that bought our company, and talk to him, and if you think he's full of it, then don't come over. And I said, all right, fine. So I talked to the CEO of that company at the time, Josh Rosen, who is a very philosophical guy, and he came out of economic impact investing and all of that. And he was smart. And I was like, oh man, I guess like people are smart in this. And I didn't know. I had all sorts of prejudice, even though I had worked on economic development issues in urban centers all over the country and knew what the war on drugs had done to communities and worked every day of my life to fix that. I had no awareness of sort of the business side. So decided to quit my job and start working in cannabis, and just started doing whatever. And my first project was to create a publishing house in cannabis for Forefront, and it's because we knew there was a lot of noise and no one really making sense of it. About 5 minutes later, we decided that was an absolutely terrible idea, and no one was ever going to buy that. Later, other people did it better. But we pivoted, and we were like, all right, what next? So we did consulting, and I helped entrepreneurs all over the country get licenses. Some of the folks that employ some of the people in this room today, we sat in their conference rooms at 2 in the morning and got them licenses, and now they're worth $1 billion, and it's a whole thing. And we did that for years and years and years. And then my company, Forefront at the time, which was 10 people when I started, and we were probably at 100-something when we started buying assets and started operating ourselves and really looking at distressed assets. Ran that for a couple of years, became chief operating officer, kind of took over all of the assets we had acquired and tried to make sense of them and make them run. And then we decided it would be a brilliant idea to go public. That was super cool. And remember, I was going to run the Ben & Jerry's for the children's choir. That was my plan. So I had an MBA with a finance minor, but like I kind of didn't really pay attention in any of that. So all of a sudden I'm in rooms with all these bankers and all this stuff, and we're talking about, you know, RTOs and all these things, and I'm Googling to try to keep up with an RTO is because I have no clue what's happening. And we get through the merger, we go public, they're public now, FFNT, and then I decide like that, I don't want to do stocky things all day, that sucks. So became chief growth officer, which really focused on mergers and acquisitions with a very specific focus on acquiring partnerships in new states to get more people into the industry. And to Forefront's credit, there was a lot of authenticity in trying to work with social equity applicants and other people to try to push their operations forward on our platform. And I always felt really good about the authenticity of that and the directness of it. But publicly traded companies are a bummer. Sorry, Forefront people who are in the room, I see. It's just not my jam. So I left in December of 2019 at the same time that Allie left her company, which had gone through like a major publicly traded CEO upheaval and a bunch of nonsense. And our third partner had left his MSO and was on the market again. And we were like, well, what do we do now? And at that time, Illinois was putting out license applications, and we had promised at Forefront to help some people try to get licenses. And when I left, they were like, we don't have anyone to do that. So the first thing we did was call and say, send us everyone we had committed to, and Allie and Kevin and I will take care of them. And we'll figure out how to make it work. I don't know. Let's just start a consulting firm, because it's what we've been doing for 10 years. We'll figure it out. So we did, and we provided over $500,000 worth, $500,000 in pro bono support to those applicants, and managed to turn a lot of them in. A bunch of them were successful. That was very cool. And then we thought, well, we solved it. Now everyone's empowered. Fantastic. So then we were like, shit. So then we decided that we were going to be operators too. Got screwed out of that lottery. That was a bummer. But the reality is, when we weren't counting on our MSO boards and the bankers in the room to pay the bills, we were just as unlikely to be successful in this industry as anyone we had helped to empower. Yep. So we decided, if we're going to make a go of this, become operators ourselves, then we're going to do this on the behalf of the good of the order. Every relationship we acquire, every finance conversation we have, every brand we make, every building we have, we're doing it so that the next person that comes behind us has an easier time of that. And that hopefully we can use those assets because we have access. We're cute, white, young girls. We can get things if we want. So we start going around talking to money people, talking to property owners, and to be blunt, nice, white, young people who've been in cannabis are a really nice incremental step for like old rich white guys to get into social equity. So they were able to be like, oh, you look nice and safe. We'll let you have licenses. We'll let you have money. We'll do this. So we've played that, and I'm totally cool with that. We'll get into it later. But the nice thing is, we've sort of maximized that to be able to then create these opportunities in new markets for legacy brands, underrepresented entrepreneurs, people in markets that have an opportunity but don't necessarily know how to materialize it. And every day we wake up to do whatever it takes. So any barrier, anything that shows up in those people's lives, anything we can do to move a market, get a brand into a place, that's what we do every day. And so that's the mission of 7 Cities and our affiliated brands, is really to remove any barrier that it takes to diversify the industry, and not just to get more people in licensing, but really to compete and succeed, so that it can change the markets that consumers interact with, and it can actually build some generational wealth and some equality in what we're doing. So like every day that kind of sucks, but it's hard work, but it is very rewarding, and I think we're moving the needle in really, really little ways, and we can kind of talk about that. But I think what keeps us going with no paychecks is just the idea that we are making that impact. We're living our truth, we're living with intention, and we're finding places to parlay that into opportunity. And that makes me feel better, even on the days that we're scared we might not make payroll, and even on the days that, we're delayed another 2 months by a regulator that doesn't get it. Whatever's happening, we're living with intention. And I think a lot of what we want to do is empower other people to have the space to live with that intention. And then probably just being in regulation made me really patient. It made it so I knew things were going to take a long time. So I have a lot of patient urgency about things. It's everything in cannabis. And as we talk with new people into the industry, most of what I tell them to do is to calm down. It's a lot of saying, like, relax and just calm down, and it'll get there, and it's not there yet. And also reminding people that no one owes us this life. And I don't mean that spiritually. We're legal drug dealers. No one owes us the right to be open right now. No one owes us a license. No one owes rushing on my behalf. No one owes me money. There's nothing I am owed. I am here by blessing only. And so when we talk to people, it's really trying to humble and say, I get you made $10 billion for whatever you were doing before. This isn't that. No one owes you that. I get that you were doing whatever you were doing before and it was easy and you felt good about that and think you can parlay it. This isn't that. So get humble, get calm, get patient, and let's try to slog through this. But I think if I hadn't done policy, especially on underrepresented issues, and then also in the industry, I don't know that I could do what I'm doing now, because it just takes a long time. So that's my TED Talk. Thank you. Yeah, we're good.
That was neat.
And then, right, you'll talk the whole rest of the time, right? Yeah. Okay.
I will not talk
Fantastic.
the whole rest.
Okay. Sorry.
My name is Leah Heise. I came into the cannabis industry in 2015, and my path was a little bit different than Lisa's. I graduated law school in '94 with the intention that I was going to protect marine mammals and commercial fisheries. I was a prosecutor for the federal government. I prosecuted people for killing, harming, and harassing marine mammals and violating commercial fisheries regulations. So, you can't hear my big mouth?
There you go.
I think can you hear me now? I was saving the whales. Yes, I was saving the whales. And I did save some whales. Well, they died, but I did prosecute people for killing them. I meant to save them, but the people really wanted to kill them, so they died. But we fixed that. So I had the intention of being in public service. My concept that I was going to eventually run a government agency. Unfortunately, life does not go the way that you planned. And in 2001, I was interviewing with John McCain to be the chief counsel for the Senate Finance Committee, the Ocean Subcommittee. And on the day of my second interview, I was hospitalized, and I was diagnosed with a disease called chronic pancreatitis. And they told me that I had 5 years to live, go home, take care of your 18-month-old children, and just be. Wow. So, right at my mouth, okay. So I did. I went home. I went on disability. I took care of my kids. I lived on incredibly high doses of methadone and Xanax, because that is what my pain treatment plan was, even though it can kill you. And I was hospitalized more than 32 times. And over the course of 12 years, because obviously I survived it, I went in and out of the hospital being very, very ill. In 2014, I had essentially a Whipple, where they go in and carve out your pancreas, rearrange your small intestine to attempt to fix this pancreas that was allegedly dying. And my doctor told me, hey, after you do this surgery, you're going to be completely better, and I think you should try cannabis. Because he was a very forward-thinking doctor out of Johns Hopkins. He was from Israel. And I was like, cannabis? Didn't Nancy Reagan tell me no to cannabis? And he was like, she did, but I want you to do some research and see what you think. I did a bunch of research on what it does to the body, inflammation, how it could help other people, how it could potentially help me. And serendipitously, at the same time, Maryland started to talk about legalizing, at least for medical use, cannabis. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try cannabis. I'm going to see if it can help my health, and I'm going to start a legal practice to help other people get into the industry, support them, create businesses, and apply for these licenses when they come into being. So thankfully, cannabis worked. If you look at my pancreas on an MRI, they will tell you my pancreas has to be removed. I do not have diabetes. I am no longer on 80 milligrams a day of methadone and Xanax, and I am able to create a career and generational wealth for my children and my family, and have luckily been very successful so far in my journey and in my health. Since starting cannabis, I've only been hospitalized once with pancreatitis, and I haven't been hospitalized since 2016. So I came into this industry because I believe in this plant, and that this plant is truly miraculous. And I'm not one of those people that necessarily believes that it can't be recreational, right? I believe that this is a health and wellness product, that people are utilizing it. If you want to utilize it for because you just want to feel good, great. If you're utilizing for medicinal, it should be available, and I've become a strong advocate for that plant. So what I did was I started my legal practice, helping people apply for applications, and I thought, it's kind of dumb. I should just do it myself. And so I put a team together in the state of Maryland and contacted Miss Leise Rosman, and ended up being her biggest pain in the butt client she ever probably had. And
Finding is what has ruined many people's lives. They're like, I should just do it myself. And then you're like, oh boy. And that's where it goes downhill.
that is kind of where it goes.
Because you do it yourself and it's hard.
It is
really
very, very hard. But I thankfully had Lise to help me along the way. And we were successful. We didn't win a vertical in Maryland, but we did win a dispensary. And that dispensary ultimately led to me becoming Chief Experience Officer and Chief Compliance Officer of Forefront. And I was with Forefront until they went public. And then I was recruited out of Forefront to go to Ascend Wellness Holdings as their Chief Administrative Officer. And as at Ascend, I took the company from 73 employees to 1,354 employees in 19 months. And also from 73 million to going public at a $1.4 billion market cap. But it was for a lot of white dudes, actually all white dudes. I was the only female C-suite executive. No
Like a
offense,
bad
white
thing.
dudes.
White dudes are great too.
We
It's just a
do.
thing.
But I decided after we went public that similar to Lise, it's not necessarily a journey I wanted to do, and I wanted to explore other aspects of the industry, and I'm currently consulting and mentoring other entrepreneurs in the industry to do what I have been blessed to be able to do, which is create some wealth for myself and my family. And I want to continue to help people guide there. It's hard. This industry is hard. It is corrupt. Social equity, I was listening to the compliance panel before. Sorry, I'm such a compliance geek, so I was super excited about that panel. And compliance is so incredibly important to this industry, and it is a talking point similar to social equity. I don't actually believe that there is true commitment to social equity, even on part of the states. One question someone had asked on the last panel was, what can we do about it? We need to get loud. We need to do what New Jersey did. And for all of those companies out there that are pretending they're social equity applicants, but really they're just a white guy behind a female or BIPOC group holding up a sign behind them like, it's really me, it's really me. We need to stop that. New Jersey's taking licenses away from people that are doing that. And so if you think you're going to be in a state that's going to issue a social equity license, and then you're really incredibly wealthy white male group, and you don't have those people in those stores running your companies, beware. And that's what we need every single government that's issuing these licenses to do.
Very good. Very good. So clearly, these women have great perspective and they have great intent and they are solution-oriented. So we've learned who you are. Let's level set. You've had the great line of sight that you can tell us what is the state of women and minorities in cannabis. And a lot of us know that there's a lot of chatter about the data, the insights that came from a study, the Women in Cannabis study, that shows where there's some slippage and how women are approaching trying to be in this industry. So what is the state of women in cannabis 2022?
Major slippage. I left out one thing. I was CEO of a group called Women Grow in 2016. In 2016, when I was CEO of Women Grow, women held 33% of the C-suite positions in the cannabis industry, and of the operators in the cannabis industry. Today, I think the statistic in the report was 26%. I think if you look across the board at across the universe of the multi-state operators, as an example, it is probably less than 6% that have actual board seats or C-suite positions. As a C-suite position female in those MSOs, I would love to know how many of them actually have voices or a true seat at the table. I'm going to get mad, but whatever. Big breath.
Just breathe it out, buddy.
PTSD,
Just breathe it
PTSD,
out.
it's all good.
It's okay.
And we're losing. We're a losing battle, guys. It is nowhere near the level that it was in 2016. As this industry professionalizes, we're losing traction. We are losing space. One of the insights of that report was that females not only make 83% of the buying decisions in the homes for the entire United States, but they also they came into 73% of females came into the industry, but where are they? How do you get from walking into the industry to come into one of these companies and be an executive? And what they're finding is most of those females that are coming in are founding their own businesses because that is the way that they have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a theory on that, too. We'll see if it plays out, whatever. I did try Googling some numbers, and then I just got pissed also and stopped. So whatever, it sucks. But I do think that what's interesting about this is we've gone into building our own company, and we have retail locations that are women-driven, women-focused. They're called Betty's. They're open. We have Matriarch Farms, which is products that are women-focused, and all of that stuff, right? And as I did a bunch of research going into that process, one of the things I was looking at was I had a theory that if women had 80% of the buying decisions, then where's all their money? Like, why aren't they buying this stuff? I don't get it. And if they're not the ones buying it, then why would I expect a population that isn't them to hold companies accountable when the major demographic of cannabis buyers in the last 10 years was 18 to 45-year-old white men in the industry, right? So why would I expect those dudes to stand up and be like, we want more women on boards and more capsules for vaginas? They're not gonna do it, right? It doesn't make sense. So I'm putting that on them, but like I don't need to woke those people. It's not relevant to me. Let them keep the 95% of the market that's in the market today. I don't give a shit. Let Curaleaf and Zenleaf and all these people fight with each other. They can all battle to the $20 eighths and live their best lives. I don't care. But what I don't think we have is the people who have not been in the industry yet and who are right now spending money on Xanax and Ambien and Vicodin and Pamprin and whatever the hell else is in your medicine cabinet as a woman right now to deal with the myriad body shit that goes on every month. So I look at that and think, keep it. I don't want it. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm not even trying to infiltrate it. You guys do your thing. It's Generica. I'm cool. Let me instead go in and build boutique approaches to this, which is not a boutique. It's 50% of the fucking population. I'm not like addressing a very tiny demographic of humans with purchasing power, right? So this is like my grandma and my aunts and the ladies at my kids' cheerleading that I have to get gummies to tonight because their husbands have PTSD from being veterans and they can't sleep at night because they're stressed about everything in their life. And instead of asking for Ambien, they want Camino CBN gummies. Shout out to Camino CBN gummies. So, and I'm getting rid of them by the truckload because I'm saying get off the Ambien, stop making turkey sandwiches in the middle of the night, stop buying stuff on Amazon you don't remember buying. Let's get you onto CBN and get you to sleep, right? And so I look at that and think that consumer market's already there. It exists. Why would we expect those dudes to tap it? It's not real. So when we look at our stuff, we don't get offended about all that and whatever. They can live and they can trade their stocks and do their thing. But for me, when I look at impact and living with intention, it's about putting this product, to Leah's point, that I also believe has miraculous properties, into the hands of people who can use it to better their lives. And if we can maybe get some women to make some money doing it, that'd be awesome too. But I think that what we're seeing now is women becoming more aware, and as that happens, they're going to be pushing for brands to be representative. They're going to shop for authenticity. There's whole marketing studies on this, and you'll hear marketing later today. BFF marketing, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but women shop what their friends tell them to buy. They go on Instagram and follow people they love. We are very savvy at e-commerce. We invented whole MLM companies that Leah ran at one point just for the express purpose of sitting in people's living rooms as women and saying, I think you should try this. I think it could change your life. Whether it's a thing you put leftovers in or it's leggings or whatever you call it, right? We are good ambassadors for each other and for products that we love. So I don't care that women are not in MSOs. I don't care that women aren't in the stock room. It doesn't matter to me because that's not who I think my consumer even cares about. I think they care about me because I'm real and I consume cannabis every single day of my life. And they want to trust me to bring them products that helps them. So yes, it sucks. But I think the other piece of that is, okay, great, that's super lease, and that must be nice to be a billionaire and like have this conversation. I'm not a billionaire, first of all. Second of all, I don't even get paid. But second of all, I think if we can band together then to get those products to people, that's a way we move forward. So if we're all gonna quit our jobs, we're all gonna bail and be like, forget it, I'm out. Then are we all going to go out and raise the same $500,000 to build a production facility for ourselves? Are we all going to fight in line at the dispensary to be on the women's shelf corner, all of us making the same stuff and argue if they even have one? Are we all going to argue with each other and be the women's thing in town and not the other thing in town? My argument is no, that doesn't make sense, and it's exactly what they want us to do, because if we all act independently, we all fail, and then we don't have to, they don't worry about it, right? But if we all get together, and this is not pie in the sky, we do it every single day, then we have the ability, while they're out building Nikes and Adidas and Reeboks, we have the ability to become Foot Locker. And I don't go to a MAC store anymore for ladies in the room. I go to Ulta, because I don't really love MAC's foundation. I think it's weird. But I do want to buy the MAC blush that I like, but I also want to buy the CoverGirl foundation I've been wearing since I was like 16 years old. So Ulta lets me do that. I don't go to MAC. I'm not committed like that. I don't trust it. So if I can create enough Foot Lockers, enough Ultas in this life, enough Sephoras in the world, right, of all our shit, then it gives everybody an opportunity to be engaged with this plant, and then we can have way more market share than any of these guys that are just Nike. I have to believe Foot Locker makes more money than Nike independently. And at some point, they're gonna come knocking and be like, so it turns out everyone's buying your stuff in your place, and I'm wondering if we could put our stuff in there. They will come, and when they do, I'm going to be like, yeah, there is an MSO corner. It's that shelf over there, and you can feel free to get on it. So, yeah.
I still would like to see more representation and diversity across the board in the multi-state operators. I think
Sure,
that's
and also
vitally
do that.
important.
Fine, yes.
And because, I mean, ArcView put out that report and it was in the study. Companies that have diverse boards in the cannabis industry have a return of 2x revenue higher than any other companies.
Don't you think that's because they bought 2 times as many people are buying everything? You're not just selling to dudes, you're selling to women too.
That's right.
It's like it makes some sense.
Well,
like good representation.
You have more thought representation, right? You have differing opinions. A guy, for example, I was talking to a woman who creates she does studies on female health, and she just did a bunch of research on whether CBD tampons create bacterial vaginosis and things like that. But, that's the kind of research that we need to be doing. But when she was talking to a male counterpart of that, they were like, why would you even do a study about that? Like, who cares? Well, you don't use tampons. I get it. I get why you don't care, but it's the perspective thing, right? Sure. If we have more people around the table with all different perspectives and all different socio-demographics and different lifestyles and different lifestyle choices, then we as a company will be more well-rounded, provide better services to our communities and to our employees, and be a more holistic company altogether. And that's what I would like to see for the industry as a whole.
Yeah, and also some trust. I mean, the big thing I heard when we were shopping our deck around, 2 women, was, I don't know if anybody's going to buy this stuff. Nobody buys capsules. Why are you making capsules? Well, I'll tell you why. Because capsules have the highest margin of any manufactured product in cannabis. Number 2, do you know why no one's buying capsules? No one makes them.
Yep.
So where would they be buying them? That doesn't even make sense. But we know women take pills for everything. So you're trying to tell me a woman would not buy a capsule, and it's the highest margin thing I can make. You're out here selling flour, which is a commodity, and you're arguing with me about whether women will buy the highest margin thing you can possibly make? I'm telling you they will come, and they don't trust that because there's no data to support it. And I'm saying everything they take is in a capsule, guys. Why would we expect them? They don't eat Xanax in a gummy. Why would we expect that they would do that? It doesn't make sense. So I think there also has to be, if there's anything, it would be a little bit of R&D and a little bit of thinking outside the box.
Yep.
Instead of making another flower brand or another gummy that the world does not need, can we make some different shit and see if someone buys it? Is it that hard? I don't know. And maybe if they don't, cool, don't make it anymore. Fine, I screwed up, it's fine. I'm
Yep.
fine to be wrong, but let's like try it maybe.
I completely agree. I'd like to see some more suppositories. Bypasses the liver.
Word. Yep.
So to your point that so many women and minorities are opting to go alone, but then you're talking about we're almost competing with ourselves because we're all fragmented out here feeling like we need to go it on our own. What are some options for us to achieve our own goals,
Reach out.
but not necessarily be going it on our own?
Okay, so then here's the thing I think people who know me will say I'm pretty good at. It's arguing with myself. Again, could be a whole series. So, okay, let's say you don't go it alone. Because like Natsuko, who I talked to, was like, I work at GTI. And then she kind of like thought she was supposed to feel bad about it, like she worked for Darth Vader. I'm like, whatever, man, get your money. But here's the thing with that, right? For me, watching a bunch of entrepreneurs and looking at policy, success, this is not, I didn't come up with this, guys. I saw some guy tell me this. Success is a numbers game. So all success is failing over, fast, and recovering, learning, do it again. Recover, do it again. Recover, do it again. It's all about that grit and the ability to go back to the drawing board every time. Keep going, keep going. If I have a choice between failing on my dime or failing on somebody else's dime, I choose their dime every single time. So even as a consultant or when I worked in those companies, I'll fail on your dime all day long. I don't want to worry about whether I'm going to eat or not. I'll waste your $1 million on some dumb thing because I'm going to learn from it every single time. And you can afford to hire people that might be coming from like the Fortune 500 company, and I worked in a nonprofit before I got here. Put them in a room with me and I will learn every single thing I can from them so that 2 years from now I'm somehow magically a tax attorney. Even though I never went to any sort of law school, but I just listened and learned and asked questions and Googled. I'm not opposed to learning on someone else's dime. I'm not opposed to failing on somebody else's dime. And I also think there's a way to, if you're gonna keep doing that, there's a way to find impact and intention any place you are.
Absolutely.
If you behave the way you are authentically, you believe is going to create success, if I'm an honest person, if I'm transparent, if I'm, put service above self, if I'm about curiosity, I can do that if I'm the janitor, I can do that if I'm the CEO, I can do that if I'm on the board, I can do it anywhere in this life and still get things done. And eventually, if I keep doing that enough, I'll have the thing I wanted, right? So I'm not here to shit on people that are in MSOs or, we say that word as if it's like you sold out.
Yeah.
Shit, no, you're learning on somebody else's dime. Take everything you can from it. Get in at the ground level. Nobody ever looked at a CEO at McDonald's that started out as like the fry guy and was like, well, I guess you sold out. Like, no, you wanted to be in restaurants, you wanted to make a living, you started with fries, you ended up someplace. So I do think, even if you're the, the social equity front for some evil empire, you're still learning, and this is one of the biggest things earmuffs forefront. The biggest thing I learned at Forefront in the last 2 years of my employment there was honestly how to manipulate a situation to my benefit and how to be aware of all of the different places you could screw someone, and not with bad intention, But because sometimes that's the hustle. And now I can go into rooms and be like, nope, I know that trick already. You took my supermajority away. Nope, I know that trick. That promissory note has too much teeth in it. Nope, I know that trick because you're going to ramp that lease on me in 10 years and you put teeth in it as part of the licensing agreement. I know how to do that.
Oh, yeah, that equity that you're giving me, that little couple
My
percentage point,
1%.
you're going to dilute me out, so I'm not going to have anything. So
Oh,
make sure
or-
it's non-dilutable.
No, you can own 51% of your own company. It's just that you get 51% of the profits, but also we form this management
Yeah.
company that's going to take all the money from it, so you actually get 51% of nothing. But don't worry, because it's going to be fine.
And we're behind you.
Right. So, and again, not with bad intention, but because they had to get money from stockholders that wanted it that
Absolutely.
way, and there's no banking, and there were a number of reasons we had to play life the way we played it. We know better now, it's a different life, whatever. But I'm not sorry for any of those rooms I sat in. I'm not sorry for any of those deals I did. All I did was learn and learn and learn and learn to fail faster and learn how to maybe not screw it up next time or be smarter next time. It made me a much better entrepreneur, a better business owner, and a better coach because I brought a lot of people up behind me, and that was hard work in the foxhole. And people are up because we worked hard together and we learned a bunch of stuff and failed. And so I just don't want anybody to think like, well, I had to be the front for some MSO app and I suck and I sold out. It's like, no. Work your hustle. That's your opportunity to learn how it's done. That's your opportunity to get stronger, smarter, better, faster. If that's what it takes and you don't have to sell your house or take your home equity loan of credit out to do it, then God bless. If you have to, I have operating assets probably, 600,000 square feet under canopy and like 6 stores. And yet I own nothing, not a single thing. And all I'm doing out there is hustling, and I don't think I'm unsuccessful because I have to take a different angle to kind of work this out. I'm still creating impact. I'm still having that intention. I'm still cool with myself. I don't need to be accountable to somebody, and nobody ever asks, like, well, what percentage do you own? Do you have a supermajority? Do you have voting rights? How did that happen? What's the waterfall look like? Are you diluted? Nobody asked Leah when she sold the Forefront, like, what the deal was. It's tacky. No one's going to ask that. But as far as everyone's concerned, it's cool, right? So own your stuff, run your race, but also don't be apologetic about the hustle. Nobody else is apologizing for it, so I don't know why we should.
And not all MSOs are evil.
And they're not all evil either.
Not
We're an
all
MSO.
evil.
I'm not evil, I don't
Absolutely.
think.
They're not.
Maybe.
They're not all evil. I'm sure many were started with the best of intentions. Certainly, Forefront was started.
We
with
were, but the
absolutely best
purpose of a
intentions.
company is to maximize shareholder
Yeah,
value.
maximize shareholder value. So you,
That's why a company exists.
unfortunately, the way capitalism works is you gotta use money to build your dreams. And if you don't have money, you gotta go take money from somebody else, and that
I like
person
that.
wants their money back. So
Yep. Until we have banking, frankly, that's my big thing. People talk about banking and like legalization, and I see banking differently, not to get on a policy tangent, but until we have banking, there is no other option because
Yeah.
we're still in private markets when it comes to money. Until I can go to my bank and get a loan to open this business, I'm at the mercy of people who are doing risk lending, risk spending, venture capital. Those people are not always impact investors, and so I gotta play that game until I can get to the SBA and get well-intentioned, not predatory money. I've gotta be part of capitalism if I intend to run this business.
Yep.
I mean, now we're trying to crowdfund it on the backs of people who are buying our products, so it means we go slower because we have to actually make revenue and then spend it, and that's how it works. But
And
in the
slow
absence of
is not
that-
bad, guys.
And slow is okay. Life is long. We're gonna all be here. We were in that conference room in 2015 in Illinois, right? Writing apps. Those companies are worth $1 billion now, whatever. And it's 7 years later, and we're all still here, and the world's not that different. I mean, other than the COVID thing. This business is here still, and it's not like if I didn't move in 2015 or 2022 or 2025, it's okay. Like, do it on your terms. Life is long. You can have patient urgency. But if you want to move now, you've got to play that game, and it sucks, but it's just life. That's where we're kind of at.
And we have a long runway. I mean, cannabis has a super long runway. I think when I got in 2015, I thought, oh, it's going to be legalized in 5 years. Now I'm like, it's 2022. It'll be legalized in 7 years. So we have a long runway to take advantage and really learn about what do you want to do in the industry. What does success look like for you? What success looks like for me may look different to you or to you. And that's okay. What do you want? What space do you want to own? I want to own female empowerment in the industry. That's what I want to own. I want to make sure that other females have the opportunity to do what I did. People ask, How did you do it? I just don't know. I think it was good luck and timing a lot of times.
Yeah, you just showed up every day.
Yeah,
Kept
I
coming
showed
in.
up every day and kept doing it.
I have a question from your perspectives.
Yeah.
What kind of positive momentum or positive collectives or exciting individual activity is happening as we try to forecast to improving our situation? Is there anything exciting going on out there that we should be paying attention to?
I think I saw that there was a thing last week, women's share of spending in the industry rose 36% last year, something like that. Let's get it even higher next year. To me, that's critical. If it's not a build it and they come, there's a little bit of that, but inherently, people are becoming more aware of this. And so as more women spend money in this industry, they will look for more women to spend it on.
Yeah,
That
money
is
talks.
what will happen. I think the other thing is we're seeing as markets open up, one of the, my inclination initially when there were only so many licenses in so many places and it was all competitive, you get this culture of scarcity where you're like, well, if I can't like them because they're competitive to me and that's not gonna work. And now that we're kind of seeing, Illinois is a weird place, but we have operations in Michigan and Montana and Massachusetts and places that aren't this mess. And there are cooperatives and collectives and people working together out of a culture of abundance where we say like, look, I think there is enough humans and lungs to support all of us being here. And if we work together, maybe it'll be okay. Illinois is just super weird. If you've never left this state and this industry in this state, you got a real weird sense of like how the big picture is, because it's actually not like it is here everywhere. Some places are. But a lot of places aren't anymore. And I think that's starting to, people aren't feeling that scarcity and are seeing a little more like, what if I do work with the guy across the street? What if I do offer that guy's products? Maybe it'll be okay. And I think as we do that more, we create ambassadors for each other and saying like, let me tell you about an amazing product because I don't want to make the My High stick, plug for My High. I just found out that I know their owner and I didn't know I did, but I love his product and I tell everybody about this product. And I don't make a stick like he does. I'm not going to make a stick like he does because he already does it well. So why would I do that? It doesn't even make sense. He already figured it out, does a thing, it's a thing. You put in a drink, you shake your water bottle, you drink it. It's great. It's 10 milligrams. But
Ripple is really good too.
What is it?
Ripple.
Oh, Ripple's good too.
I
Yeah.
like Ripple.
So
And
why would
he's kind of
I'm
a
not like
unicorn,
trying to
so.
shit on him and being like, My High's the worst. No, he has a good product and it's good and I like it and I want my friends to have it. So if I can get out of that scarcity and just start talking about, I'm not making a gummy, guys. Wild makes an amazing gummy. I don't need to make a gummy. I'm gonna keep buying their gummies. If we can get out of that and be ambassadors for each other and be able to figure out how we all fit together, again, I don't think that's pretend. I think that is real. It's not just, I don't think from a place of privilege. There's a little bit of that to it, but I do think we see how that works in this industry and in similar industries. It's just we get more aware of each other and consumers become more aware too.
Yeah, I agree, Monday. And they're unlimited, so
Yep.
and if you're a social equity applicant, you actually get priority ahead of the annual licenses. So we're starting to see the limited licenses that used to be rolled out in these regulatory regimes starting to go away a little bit more, which is going to provide more opportunity for all of us. Will it create more competition? Absolutely. But there's still Starbucks on every freaking corner. There's McDonald's every 5 feet, and
Walgreens and
I don't wanna
CVS
talk
are
about the
across from each
chemicals
other.
in
People go to
McDonald's.
those. And I think too, as those markets open up where there are not, again, Illinois is just a weird place, guys. I've operated in it, I get it, I've licensed it, it's a thing. But when you're looking at another state where you might be able to get a license for 40 grand and open up a kitchen, let's say for 50, because there are places that you could do this. I don't have to make every product on earth. I might only want to make seltzer. I want to make infused seltzer. It's the only thing I'm going to do. I'm going to be an expert at it. I'm going to love it. We have in Massachusetts, they make ice cream, this Cloud Creamery. They just make ice cream. Now they're kind of making some other stuff. But they started out, I'm not trying to make everything. I just want to make ice cream really well. And if people know me for making ice cream, they'll buy it. And now dispensaries are like, we need the ice cream, we need the ice cream. If those guys had come in and be like, I'm going to make everything, that is not feasible, both financially and just like market strategy. There aren't very many places that do that off the bat. So in Illinois, you kind of have to substantiate all of the infrastructure and regulatory and licensing costs. But in a lot of other places, you can be a really good maker of a thing. And that's part of what we want to do is bring those legacy producers that are really good at making a thing, and they've made it, and they know how to make it, people love it. You don't have to get a $10 million processing license in Michigan. I just need the recipe to make your nuts and put them in your bag here. And then I'm going to put them on the shelf. So I think if you kind of look in other markets, we're going to see more of that craft expertise, and I think people will trust it. They'll go to it.
Very good. We have actually run out of time, but I want to conclude with one question. Obviously, you are playing at a variety of levels, but then as importantly, you make yourselves available to something like Simple Conversation with Natsuko. What would you advise all of us, particularly Illinois women in cannabis? We're a tight community, we help each other, but then you know how we can get about having busy days. What can people do? One simple thing that will make such a difference in helping someone else find their way or advance, or at least even get the energy to say, damn, they accepted my LinkedIn request, or they said they could call me, or we're going to catch coffee. What's something that you've done to where then you've realized how important it's been for the one person who's continuing to try to find the energy to keep up the trudge?
My email is LEISE, like my name and the thing, at go, and the number 7, and then the word cities.com. You can email me. I'll get back to you sometime this century, as anyone who tries to ever reach me knows. But it's not because I don't like you, it's just because a lot of people are emailing. But I will take your call. I will answer the phone. I don't care what position you have. I don't care what dream you've got. I don't care what it is. I will pick the phone up for you. And you don't have to get a gatekeeper, and you don't have to weasel your way into my third connect on LinkedIn. You can just like LinkedIn me, guys, and it's totally cool. Facebook message me, Instagram me, I don't care. So that's one thing. Pick the phone up. Like, why are we being fancy? This is dumb. We would just happen to be in a thing before you. Doesn't make me better than you. It's really not like that. So that's one. The other thing I would say is talk about your friends. So when I go to somebody, it's pretty rare that I will go into the conversation trying to sell me. Usually what I'm trying to do is sell somebody else, and I'm counting on the people I sold to be selling me to their friends. Because no one has to trust me that I'm a good person or my thing is smart, right? Like, sure, I bet I think that on me. But if you're talking about somebody else, there's credibility to that. And so I want to make ambassadors for me that talk about me behind my back while I'm asleep. I want more people talking about me all day long. And the way I think I do that is by talking about people on their behalf too. So I can only have so many conversations in an 8-hour day. But if I have 50 ambassadors out talking about me every day, I just got 50 conversations done on that day. And when people bump into somebody that makes an amazing product and they say, you know, you need to talk to her, that's not me out like doing booths at conferences. That's my ambassadors on my behalf talking about me, and there's credibility to that. So if you talk to somebody, ask, what do you need help with? How can I ambassador for you? What do you need? Let me see if I can figure out how to get it there, and not be selfish about that, but count and trust that the other people are going to do it for you. And then if we can all get that spinning, right, it's like a little commune that kind of all comes together, and we can network with that. But if you go immediately and talking about yourself, I'm like, of course you think your idea is great. You're you, duh. So if somebody else tells me about your idea, I'm like, oh shit, that might be a thing. So
I am not opposed to people coming and telling me about their ideas, but
I'll do that too.
Yeah.
But I'd rather hear from somebody else.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah,
and
that's my thing.
similar to Lise, my email address is founder@leahheise.com, which Leah Heise is up there. Similar to Lise, LinkedIn me, send me a text message or an email message, text. I talk to females, males all the time, helping them with their ideas, giving them guidance. I want to see this industry be successful. I want to see it normalized. I want to see the world accept this as a true health and wellness product, and the only way to do that is to bring more people into this industry that are just like us.
Mm-hmm. I have one last parting advice too. Oh, sorry.
founder@leahheise.com.
Yeah. I have to, my only last piece of advice I try to give anytime I'm in a room of women, and it's not as cute as you would think it would be, it's very tactical. Allie will hate me for this. My last piece of advice, I'm in professional development for women, do not end a statement with a question mark. Correct. It is my biggest piece of advice for women. If you talk like it's a question, then don't be surprised if someone answers it. if you talk like it's a sentence, don't be surprised if someone agrees. And there's a thing for women that we do where we talk like we have authority, but we're not sure, and you are sure. So be sure and end your sentence with a period and be about it. And that's my little thing to you. Thank you.
A round of applause for these ladies. Sometimes they don't get invited back. Would we invite these? Not us. These are other organizations. You say, come talk to us.
You don't owe me that. It's okay. It's fine.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Thank you.